Ben thought being a virgin was bad enough. Now he even had to die for it. It all started when he began his freshman year at New York University in the entering class of 2019. When he got off the train in Manhattan, his eyes shone from the surrounding splendor. In every direction there were skyscrapers, APers, luxury shops, and most importantly, beauties of every type imaginable. This is the beginning of my colorful student life, is what he thought to himself, right before a taxi drove over a puddle and soaked him in grimy street water. He became brown and putrid. That was just a little bad luck, it's nothing. Little did he know, but that would be the best part of his day. As he arrived to his university dormitory, every student pointed and laughed at the wet, dirty burrito passing through the building. A student on his floor from the graphic design department even found time to make memes of him, posting them on flyers all over the walls of his dormitory floor. Do you want me in a bowl or pita bread? Guacamole is extra. Eat me if you want diarrhea. They were all signed Wet Dirty Burrito King and even had his room number written on them. My colorful student life, I can't let it end like this, is what he said to himself right before he saw the 50 personal burrito orders written on post-its glued to his door. The students had deemed him the unofficial mascot of Haldon Dormitory. How can it be like this? He asked himself as he sat on the tiny bed of his dorm room. It hasn't even been a day and I'm already finished. Am I going to remain a virgin forever? Yes, a slightly robotic, bell-like female voice emerged out of nowhere. Who said that? He shot up from the bed, searching in every direction but finding no one. Congratulations, you have been judged to possess the worst destiny with women. He responded, how is that worthy of congratulations? I'm already at rock bottom and now even ghosts are taking shots at me. I am not a ghost, I am the voice of the system speaking within your head. Your plight has inspired the charity of the heavens. You've unlocked the pickup artist system. His ears perked up when he heard that. For real, yes, my time has arrived. You have 1 month to seduce a woman or you will die. Ben froze with his fist still in the air. Can you repeat that? 1 month, seduce or die. His excitement degenerated into desperation. What the hell? How? I'm an 18-year-old virgin. After taking a minute to calm down, Ben realized it wasn't as bad as he thought. Okay, it's not impossible. It's college after all, so if I lower my standards to the absolute bottom, it should be doable. No slam donkeys, 7+ looks only. 7+, you might as well tell me to seduce a goddess. And what kind of system talks like that? Another minute later, Ben came up with another unstoppable plan. In the worst case, I can borrow some money and get a prostitute somewhere. No pay piggings. You're forcing me to die. This time the system didn't contradict him. Ben tried to come up with other ideas, but all he came up with were songs for his funeral. I've heard that people diagnosed with terminal illnesses feel more alive than ever before after they find out, so why do I feel like sh*T? Ben sulked. This system's been misnamed, you should call it the execution system instead. Wait, it is a system in the end, maybe there's more to it. System, what else can you tell or show me besides insults? Appearing out of thin air like a hologram, a transparent blue screen appeared in front of him. It was a vertical menu with a few categories. Stats, challenges, store. Ben sighed in relief. At long last, things are looking up. He opened stats and read down them one by one. Looks 2, you're short, chubby, and have idiotic hair. This one was rounded up. Rounded up, okay, my looks aren't my strong suit. Charisma, 0. If someone had a choice between hugging you or a fire, they would hug the fire and then chase you for revenge.
What?
Social status, 2. Better than a homeless person, but students are in the bottom rung of society where you live.
Fair enough.
Seduction skills, 0. You might get rejected by a tree.
I've never tried, you don't know.
Knowledge, 4. More knowledge means more conversation topics. Not too bad. Ben's head rose upwards in pride. Manliness, 1. You're one step away from being a woman, and this isn't that kind of system.
His head came right back down in shame.
Communication, 3. You spent your youth talking trash in video games. This achievement is the result of your effort. Personal talent, 2. Art, music, sports. How hard is it to find something you're not bad at? Get your life together.
I've been trying.
PUA points, 550 points accrued for accomplishments in pickup artistry. Can be used to purchase items in the store. 550, how did I get that? Ben scanned his memories. He couldn't even remember speaking to any girls since middle school. After a long time, he recalled that he did have a girlfriend in middle school for one summer and even kissed several other girls that year. That was his golden age when he was thin and a bit taller than others. It was a beautiful time when he had reason to be bright and optimistic about his future. It wasn't until high school arrived when everyone else grew and he stayed the same height that he realized everything changed. People considered him short from then on. As everyone else became taller and bulkier, his results in athletics became worse and worse until he even started to get bullied. To escape, he stopped doing sports altogether. He became introverted, spending his time at home playing video games and reading web novels, gaining weight as a result. After that, everyone shunned. Only later did he discover that he peaked in middle school, which still made him angry when he thought about it. I'm not Harry Potter, who the hell peaks at 13?
What?
Forget it, I'll be dead in a month anyway, so it's no time to be upset about the past. Ben decided to move forward and open the challenges, where he discovered one entry. Novice welcome, seduce a woman within 1 month or die. Thanks for the warm welcome. Ben opened novice welcome to see if there were any more details.
Reward. Punishment eradication.
Conditions: no slam donkeys, no pay pigging. He shook his head and went back to the main menu screen, opening the final store selection. His brows knitted at what he saw. Why is there only one item? The system has many functions that are hidden until they're unlocked. That includes store items that you cannot afford with your current balance of PUA points.
Ben examined the available item.
Low-level mystery box, 500 points, contains a random item anywhere from trash to rare grade. Ben had enough points to acquire one of these. It only took him a few moments to come to a decision. I'm already on my way to the abyss. It seems like this mystery box is the only hope I have. Maybe I could get something amazing that'll help me. Before buying it, Ben closed his eyes and clenched his fists. He couldn't stop his forehead from sweating because he knew this was his only chance to live. Desperate but hopeful, Ben steeled himself, opened his eyes, and made the purchase. A small candy apple red box with a white question mark on top materialized in front of him, falling into his lap. When he touched it, a bright light filled the room. Life or death, it was in this little box. Ben held his breath as his eyes stared downward, shimmering with both fear and hope. The light faded to reveal his fate. It was a ripped-off corner of a paper with some scrawling on it.
Well, good games.
Ben embraced his doom tightly like a long-lost lover. In his head, he wrote a bucket list of things to do over the next and final month. You have gained Divine Pickup Line consumable fine X1. Wait, Divine, that should be a good thing. Then why does this look like a note someone would pass in 3rd grade? The paper isn't even big enough for me to write a goodbye letter to my family. After a while, Ben surmised that humans just wouldn't be able to understand the artistic sense of whatever god or demon created this system. Instead of pondering the imponderable, he sought more information about the item. Divine Pickup Line, consumable fine, X1 use on any woman to quickly raise her attraction to you by a significant amount. Ben's breathing became heavy. This is it. He spotted a glimmer of light up above, a possibility of escaping the deep crater he was stuck in. This little scrap of paper could be his life-saving rope.
Creak.
The door opened, and a teenage boy that Ben had never seen entered the dorm room. The boy's eyebrows raised when he saw that Ben was already inside. He put his luggage down, straightened his posture, and approached Ben in a formal manner for a handshake. Not wanting to be disrespectful, Ben stood up and shook hands with him. Hello, I take it you are Benjamin. I'm Farik from India and we will be roommates from now on. It is a pleasure to meet you. I did not expect to share a room with an established entrepreneur, which is my great honor. Ben's death sentence had distracted him to the point that he forgot his roommate was coming today. Yet, there was one part of what Farik said that confused him.
Entrepreneur, Ben asked, squinting.
Farik's back became even straighter. I have seen the large number of orders at our front door. I am very impressed. It is only the first day and yet you've started a business already. What is the business model? A Mexican delivery food service. He stared at Ben as if looking at a mentor. Farik was in the business program, so he needed to learn from real-world startups like this if he wanted to launch his own company in the future. Ben's face was gloomier than a necromancer's Facebook page. It's nothing great like that, that's a misunderstanding. Farik nodded over and over in appreciation. Modesty is a virtue. Good, good. I can see that I will learn much from you and am looking forward to becoming friends. Friends? To Ben, that word was like an idiom in a foreign language. He knew the translation, but he didn't understand the true meaning. When was the last time I had a friend outside of chat rooms? Ben could see that Farik was sincere and it improved his mood. It's my first day and I've already made a friend. He found hope for the future. That's right, this is the beginning of my wonderful future. I may have made many mistakes in the past, but I'm still young and have infinite possibilities ahead of me. Who's to say I can't accomplish great things? It was the spring of his youth. 29 days and 23 hours remaining until eradication. Oh my God, Debbie Downer is living in my head. I didn't need to hear that just now. Would you like to turn off the hourly alarm? It seems like the system also responds to thoughts. Yes, F***seeking turn it off. It's not like I'll soon forget the approach of my impending death. His mental ramblings were interrupted by the sound of a wild animal.
Growl.
Ben looked down at his stomach and realized he hadn't eaten all day. He took the train in the morning, then was busy with registering and organizing his dorm room all day. Having already washed off the brown waste that covered him earlier, he decided it was a good time to go downstairs and try out the dorm cafeteria. It was getting late, so he hoped it hadn't closed yet. Ben invited Farik, who couldn't go because he had to contact his family and unpack, so Ben went alone. As Ben passed through the halls, his face brightened up a little because someone had taken down the meme posters of him. I guess there are good people in the world. He used the elevator to reach the ground floor and walked toward the cafeteria. As he passed the entrance, someone next to him yelled, "Hey, Burrito King." Ben looked over and found Tyler, one of the people who put up those posters of him everywhere. Ben's mood dropped like a stone again. He thought he'd left his dark past of bullying behind, but it didn't even take a day for people to push him down, burying him in the same lightless hole. "You still taking orders?" Tyler and another student laughed in Ben's face as they got drinks from the vending machine. Ben wanted to stand up for himself, but he wasn't a fighter. He made his stand once when he was younger. That's when he learned how much crueler reality was than the movies. The only result of his bravery was a beating from a bully that put him in bed for 2 weeks. Since then, he always kept his head down, having understood that walking in shame was better than lying down in it. As Ben prepared to walk away, he caught a powerful scent of floral perfume exuding from behind him. When he turned around, it only took an instant, but what he saw mesmerized him. Standing there was a gorgeous girl. She had an exotic Mediterranean face like a femme fatale from a James Bond movie. Olive skin complemented her neck-length dark hair, which waved when she moved like ocean currents under dim moonlight. She was talking on the phone and hadn't noticed Ben drooling yet.
Ben gulped. What a beauties.
"Sneer, don't even dream about it, you scrub," Tyler said when he saw Ben gazing at the girl, lost in a trance.
Ben clenched his fists, shivering. I can't even daydream in peace.
With heavy breathing, he took out the consumable divine pickup line from his pocket and stared at it for a long time. Was this the moment? He hadn't seen such a beautiful girl since arriving in Manhattan, but this was his life he was playing with. Failure meant probable death. His heartbeat sped up as he grasped the realization that this was the most important decision he'd ever made. One chance, that's all he had.
Should I use it now?
"Stop staring, freak. You're a disgusting worm to girls like her," Tyler insulted Ben as he stepped forward to stand at Ben's side and smirked. "That's Penelope. You couldn't get her to talk to you to save your life, so stop looking before you embarrass yourself." Ben gritted his teeth. This girl was way out of his league, but why did bastards like this always have to rub it in his face? Ben was reaching his breaking point. He came all the way to New York City hoping to start a new life, only to be treated like trash and told he would die in 1 month if he didn't do the impossible. He couldn't take it anymore. "I couldn't get her to talk to me to save my life. Even if that was true before, things can change." He gripped the divine pickup line in his hand, feeling the dry paper rub against his skin. "Tyler's right about one thing, this is to save my life, screw it." Ben planned to wait for a perfect opportunity, to find a pretty girl somewhere to use the divine line on, but the system said it would work on any woman, so she might as well be a top beauty.
He turned to Tyler. "You said I couldn't get her to even talk to me. Then watch."
Tyler was taken aback by this outburst but soon sneered. This should be funny. Ben ignored him. When Penelope got off the phone call, he took a deep breath, squeezed the paper in his palm and walked into the flames. Annihilation or rebirth.
"Gulp, excuse me, miss," he stuttered.
Tyler and his buddy were already pointing at him and chuckling, getting ready to emasculate Ben once Penelope rejected him. They were certain that any moment now, he would be humiliated in front of the entire cafeteria. Penelope hadn't snubbed Ben right away, but it wasn't a good thing. It was only because she didn't hear him. She was still texting on her phone.
"Miss," Ben spoke louder.
"Ah," Penelope jumped back startled. She held her phone to her chest in a defensive posture as she glanced at Ben like he was about to assault her. Tyler was bent over now, laughing at Ben like he was a sideshow clown. This is not going well. Ben felt his heart leap up his throat. His hands were shaking as he raised the paper to his face and read from it.
F***ck my life.
He made a terrible miscalculation. The text was tiny, so he hadn't studied it in detail during the short time before Farik's entrance. Now he saw that it was complete gibberish. It didn't resemble English or any language he'd heard of.
"What is this garbage?" He tried to read from it. "Druhin ut."
Out of nowhere, Ben's pupils dilated and his body froze. What's happening? He could still think but couldn't move or control anything. He was a statue, or so he thought. Suddenly, Ben stretched his neck and took a step towards Penelope, but this wasn't the real Ben at all. His body moved on its own. "I've been possessed." The Ben in the cafeteria was walking, being controlled like a video game character. Ben viewed everything from his eyes as usual, but someone or something commanded his body. He felt his eyes relax and his lips stretch, forming a casual smile, an expression almost like confidence. "Miss, that's the textbook for macroeconomics, isn't it?" Ben pointed to a book under Penelope's arm. Penelope's eyes widened, glimmering in surprise. Ben was even more shocked. It wasn't because he somehow knew about the textbook, but because he was speaking a foreign language. The Ben watching from inside only spoke English. How was his body able to converse in another language so fluently? Even though the real Ben couldn't say a word of it himself, at this moment, he could still somehow understand everything, and also recognize that it was Greek. Tyler and his friend had their eyes bulge out. They couldn't believe this short fatty spoke a rare foreign language so well. After a slight surprise, Penelope responded in Greek, "It is." Ben shook his head and sighed, "Too bad. If you're taking that class, then you've missed a huge opportunity for the easiest perfect grade." Then he turned around and prepared to walk away. The real Ben went crazy. "What are you doing, bastard? Turn back around and woo her off her feet. You stole Daddy's body, so at least give me a good show." "Wait," Penelope shouted. Ben felt as his lips stretched wider into an expectant smile. He turned around. "What did you mean by that?" Penelope's attention was captured. "That book is last year's edition. There's a new edition with an extra section that had only been available to professors before questions and answers. The professors here use that section to create their exams. If you had it then, it would be like having the tests in advance." Penelope's eyebrows arched upwards. At the bookstore they said this was the latest edition though. "The new edition will be available in a few days as an online-only version at the publisher's website." Penelope's eyes shined. She became excited. Everyone knew how difficult the classes at this university were. Her English was only intermediate, so studying would be even harder for her. Having the tests beforehand would be a godsend. Still, there was a concern in the back of her mind. Isn't that cheating? Ben smirked. "It's not cheating if you don't get caught." Then he turned and strolled away again. "Don't play with me, get your ass back there and finish the job." Real Ben was fuming. He couldn't handle this back and forth pace. When Penelope saw Ben leaving, she panicked. She had been nervous before coming to the USA because she didn't know anyone here. She was an unfamiliar girl in a foreign country with no friends, no fellow students to speak Greek with. Now this guy came out of nowhere and spoke her language. He even knew these hidden tips about school and seemed so aloof. She couldn't let him go like that. This boy was too intriguing. "Ah, wait a second." This time Penelope ran to him with an eager smile on her face and flushed cheeks. Tyler's jaw dropped. Did this beauty chase after the Burrito King? He couldn't believe it. A few others in the cafeteria also rubbed their eyes to make sure they weren't seeing things. Penelope asked him, "Can I have your number?" At this moment, Ben felt like his brain had rebooted. He was back in the driver's seat. It's too bad the timing was awful since he was at a total loss for what to do. "No, bring Casanova back," he cried, but there was no use. The Greek-speaking, charming alter ego was nowhere to be found. "Thamu dosais loipon ton arithmosu." Penelope looked at him with expectant eyes. "OSH*T. No wait, she asked for my number before. Okay, I can do that much." Keeping his mouth shut, Ben took out his phone and showed her his number on the screen. After he confirmed she watched her save him as a contact, he did an about-face and walked out of the cafeteria. Having seen everything, it was now Tyler's turn to be a statue, standing there gawking like a fool. He and his friend were speechless. On Ben's way out, he glared at them. "You said Daddy couldn't get her to talk to me. I didn't have to. She ran over and did it herself. She even asked for my number. Could you do that?" "No, never underestimate my colorful student life, bastard." Ben left the lunchroom in the highest spirits. That was the first time he'd spoken to a girl and received such a warm reaction. So what if it was only his body and some charm demon doing the talking? That's called having a stunt double. If Hollywood stars could do it, why couldn't he? Then mid-step he halted. In his excited state, Ben had left the cafeteria. There was only one problem: he forgot to eat. Should I go back? No way, too embarrassing. It was instant noodles for dinner. 5 days later. Why hasn't she called? Ben was sitting on his bed with his face buried in his hands. He thought he made it out of the woods. He thought he had a chance to live, but he discovered he was too naive. That divine line was actually a death sentence. He was tricked into a sense of complacency. Ben figured since the line went well, everything would work out with Penelope. Instead, death approached closer and closer like a runaway train. Over the past week, he'd started class. The first couple of days were fine. He waited for Penelope to call while focusing on his studies. Then with every following day, he lost more and more sleep as reality sank in. His eyes became black as he grew pale and carried a nervous sweat at all times. His face was that of a ghoul. Though what could you expect from someone on death row? She hadn't called and he was out of moves. There were no PUA points left and was helpless without them. He wasn't charming. He didn't speak Greek. When talking to a girl, he could barely speak English. It's the end. What should I do? I have no cheats from the pickup artist system. How the hell am I supposed to become a pickup artist? Drowned by depression, Ben lied down in his bed. A few moments later, he shot right back up. Wait, pickup artist. That's not a term invented by the system. That's a real thing. Though I laughed in his face, didn't my idiot cousin Antonio call himself a pickup artist the last time we spoke? Ben stood up and paced around the room. It's ridiculous to depend on that fool, but what other option do I have? Ben picked up his phone and called his cousin.
Ring rings.
Yo cuz, what's up? Antonio answered.
Antonio, you have to help me.
His cousin was startled. What's the matter? Did you get kidnapped?
Worse, listen, I have to meet you. Where are you?
Ben received Antonio's location, grabbed his Metro card and ran out of the dorm. Inside a Starbucks in Midtown, the front door shot open. Someone entered at such speed that the employees thought it was the cartoon Road Runner. They were relieved when they saw it was a short teenager, then became disturbed again when they saw his brown hair. It was styled in an atrocious huge perm. They only relaxed once they remembered that New York was filled with all kinds of strange characters. Ben searched the cafe before running to a back table. There sat a young man with tanned sand-colored skin and a shaved head. He was skinny and of average height but gazed around the room with unbridled arrogance, like he was a young noble from an ancient family. Meanwhile, he drank water because he didn't want to spend $2 on a coffee. Upon reaching the table, Ben grabbed his hands. Antonio, I need your help. Cuz, calm down first, tell me what happened. Ben wasn't sure what to say. Should I tell him a voice popped into my head and is forcing me to seduce women? He'll have me committed. He needed to come with something else, so he took a few seconds to gather his thoughts. It's like this, I must seduce women. Ben couldn't think of a good reason, so he skipped the reason instead. Antonio inspected him. Ben's eyes were bloodshot, redder than the devil's butt cheeks. He was sweating buckets, had shaking hands, and panted uncontrollably. Antonio squinted his eyes, then nodded in understanding. So this is the legendary thirst. Antonio believed Ben was going VIRGIN crazy. Okay, I understand. Ben followed up, you told me you know a master pickup artist, right? I need to meet him. Whoa, slow down cuz. You should start slow, so let me show you the ropes first. You're sounding like Icarus and **T. I don't have time to play in the kiddie pool. I need to talk to a true master right away. Ben wasn't saying Antonio was a waste, he was only thinking it. Antonio looked at this cousin of his, short, chubby, stupid clothes, even stupider hair. This will take massive work. Well, that guy might appreciate a hopeless case like this. He made a decision. Okay, hold on, I'll make the call. He got up and went outside, calling this acquaintance. A few minutes later, Antonio returned and sat down. Ben stared at him like he was a doctor with news on his mother's surgery results.
He said he'll meet you on one condition. Say it.
Antonio didn't want to say it. Cough, we ***. He only managed to mumble it.
What? Speak up.
Antonio swallowed. He said you have to wear a thong.
What?
What? Ben double-checked. A thong, wear one if you want to meet him. Is this guy a master pickup artist or a gay ***pissed? Antonio wasn't sure how to justify it either. Look, he said he needs to test the bravery of any prospective student. If you don't have the courage to wear a thong, then you don't have what it takes and it would be a waste of time meeting you. That's what he said. Ben clenched his jaw as he flushed his dignity down the toilet. Screw it. If he failed, they'd be putting him in a casket. They could bury him in a thong for all he cared. At least the funeral would be memorable. Damn it, fine, I'll wear it. The two of them walked over to a cheap department store. Ben entered and did some retail therapy that might lead to needing actual therapy. A store employee passed and saw Ben browsing through the female underwear section. He must be browsing for a gift for his girlfriend, she guessed as she approached him to offer help. After one step, she stopped dead in her tracks. She watched Ben holding various thongs against his waist, trying to guess his size. It was clear now, the thong was for him. Ben noticed her presence and they locked eyes. A second later, they both turned around and walked in opposite directions.